I think it's Scoog.
Thank you. I think we need to keep in mind what we're doing right now with this budget. This is a budget for the next 5 years of how we anticipate spending our dollars. And this budget is created from the work that this committee does all year long. So if you don't feel comfortable voting for the budget, that's fine. You should vote your conscience. But the key is that the Public Works Committee every month works on all of these items that are in this budget. So I encourage anybody who has alternatives to work that into the agenda for the upcoming year, whenever the chairman thinks is the right time to work those issues in. We have talked a lot about chip seal in my time on the council, and we have evaluated alternatives and priced alternatives. And I'm confident that we will continue to do that as we look at the best way to take care of our street infrastructure. I just want you to drive Overland Park streets in the next month as we go through pothole season, and drive streets in Kansas City, Missouri, and other Kansas cities and see how we stack up. The reason that we stack up well is because we've taken care of our residential streets. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't always look for other alternatives. We should always do that. But as everything in local government, it's a matter of quantity versus dollars. And I'm confident as a group, we can come together and figure out what is the best solution to deliver the best product to our residents in Overland Park. So thank you.
And that's the discussion everyone feels they were promised by the chairman.
Mr. Hamblin, if you're going to interrupt on my conversations, I'm going to respond to your conversation. We have talked about chip seal every year. And if you have not paid attention or been involved in those conversations, I'm sorry that you weren't there. But we have done it every year.
You weren't there when the chairman promised the public this discussion.
When was that, Scott?
Well, this isn't a time to get into an argument. We're going to talk.
Well, I think we've seen enough of that. Theatrics. I think we had Mr. Lyons and Ms. Graham, and this is going to go back and forth. Once again, this is a budget that is process agnostic. I think we know showmanship when we see it. So go ahead. If somebody else to vote, then I think we're going to have our vote and move on.
In response to my dear colleague, therefore, I would like to make an amendment to this motion, which bans the use of this budget for chip seal. And if that amendment is approved, I personally would vote yes for it. I would like to know if my colleague would support that amendment to the budget. One more time, my amendment would kill any mechanism of use of this budget for chip seal. And I am even agreeable to put until further negotiations and conversation. So, Mr. Motion Maker, that would be my amendment.
Is it seen as a friendly amendment?
This is Kurt Scoog. No, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to reinstate, I think this is a fantastic solution. This gives us some time to discuss it. It can take everyone's got a different opinion. This is political, this is grandstanding, this is that, blah, blah, blah. But it's something that needs to be taken a look at. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves by just coming up with this snap decision that, oh, we're going to have some increased mill levy. I mean, that's one complaint people always have about politicians is they never want to take anything out. They always just want to add more. Oh, tax increase. If we do this, we're going to have to increase taxes. And so I agree with the mayor. This is an overall look. This is not just a chip seal thing. I also think this discussion, and this is just a broad statement, that I think my personal opinion is one of the reasons that this hasn't been dealt with in 15 years is displayed here perfectly in the fact that it's repeated over and over again that for some reason, because we're elected, a public official, politician, whatever you want to call us, that we can't change our vote from one year to another. My ego can handle it. Okay. Yeah, I voted it because, you know, at the time I voted it, and Ferris is on record saying that, yeah, I support it, but we need to take a look. You know, so at that time we let it slide. Clearly it was going to happen again this year and it was going to slide. So we just weren't going to let it slide again. You can call that political, you can call it changing your mind, whatever. I think we all need to be open to changing our minds and priorities a little more often and not use that as a slam against somebody. I think it would benefit the residents if we all had the open mind ability to reevaluate our decisions.
Yes, so one more time, I would like to attract the attention of my colleagues that we need to focus on this issue, and this amendment would meet both what you are trying to achieve and what I and Councilman Hamblin trying to achieve. Otherwise, moving forward with the budget, while we are essentially pausing this technique, this chip seal, until we find together a solution to move forward. There is no side effects to this amendment unless we just want to deny the voice of people of Overland Park. Thank you.
Mr. Hamlin?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, we've that's been the talk all along, that this is process agnostic, has nothing to do with chip seal. So a vote against it would be a waste of time. So, you know, like Dr. Farassati recommended, let's just put it in writing that it won't be chip seal. And then I guess there was a question asked of me and several other comments. I think everybody mentioned that we need a discussion, exactly what Dr. Farassati and I have been asking for. This budget was, the first discussion to the council was January 25th. The next Public Works Committee meeting was 2 days later. And then the next one was just here last week, and that's where it was approved. So, you know, and all everybody can say is, oh, you know, this should have been brought up, you know, a long time ago, and that, well, you know, we've had a month since the time this thing was presented to us. And since then, we've been asking for a discussion, which is now what you're proposing, if I understand it. You know, to answer Chris Newland specifically, I guess, is that if that, you know, my idea is that this is something we work together with everybody. If you need somebody to step up and just tell you how it's going to be, then I think there's plenty of us willing to do that. Obviously, you know, that's not going to happen tonight, but I don't, you know, with the time frame that we put this under, you know, January 25th, one Public Works meeting 2 days later, and then we open with an up or down vote on the next Public Works Committee, and with no discussion when discussion was requested. So I don't know why the rush so fast, and I think you know, I think the time frame that this budget is under is way more political than to ask for a discussion about it. And that's all there is to it. I mean, now we're talking about the same thing: a task force. Call it what you want: a task force, a committee of the whole, a public works with everyone invited. Well, call it what you want, but that's what we're asking for. So, you know, let's do that, and let's seal this up for the residents, no pun intended, that we won't chip seal. And I think we've met in a perfect middle ground. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, I mean, this doesn't change anything. We're going to hear the same thing for the next 15 years again, that this budget's too big to deal with little things like chip seal. And so at some point, there has to be action against it. We're going to fail to do that tonight, obviously. But what I would recommend, and this is just a recommendation to staff, whoever, before I can honestly say, and I could almost guarantee you, if you do too, if our staff does, before we chip seal any road, I think we should survey that road and ask the residents if they would like their road left as it is or chip seal. People would rather have nothing than chip seal. So that's one of the biggest issues here, and why just getting rid of it would make them happy to hear. And like I said, they don't want it anyway. So I would just recommend that before we go laying it on people's streets, we talk to them, because they don't want more oil and gravel on their road that they have to try and wash away for 7 years. They don't want it, man. And they've said it a million times. And they would just rather have nothing. And that's just that's the unfortunate truth.